What separates those who dream from those who achieve? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's mindset. The unstoppable mindset. The kind of mindset that doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It creates them. The kind of mindset that refuses to bow down to fear, failure, or rejection. If you want to live a life that turns heads, if you want to break every barrier that was designed to hold you back, then you must master this mindset. Because once your mind is unstoppable, nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop your life. What do you do with the pain you've carried? The betrayal, the heartbreak, the failure that left you shattered. Most people bury it. They push it down so deep that it silently poisons them, shaping their choices, dimming their light, stealing their courage. They allow pain to become their cage. But there is another way. There is a mindset so powerful that it doesn't just endure pain. It transforms it. It takes every scar, every wound, every ounce of suffering, and turns it into unstoppable energy. This is the secret that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, turning pain into power. Because life is not about escaping suffering. It's about alchemizing it into fuel, so strong that nothing can hold you back. Pain is life's greatest teacher, but most people refuse to listen. They think pain is a punishment, when in reality, it is preparation. Every heartbreak is sharpening you. Every rejection is carving strength into your character. Every loss is chiseling you into someone the world cannot break. Pain teaches resilience, but only if you allow it to. The people you admire most, the ones who inspire you, the ones who defy odds, are not people who had an easy road. They are people who learned to bleed, to crawl, to stumble, and yet rise with fire in their eyes. They are proof that suffering does not destroy you. Your response to it does. And if you can take the very thing that was meant to crush you and use it as the foundation of your rise, you become unstoppable. Think about the moments in your life when you felt like you had nothing left. When the weight was so heavy that your chest burned and your soul begged for relief. Those moments were not curses. They were crossroads. They were invitations to choose. Do you let the pain bury you, or do you let it build you? The truth is, pain is raw energy. Left unmanaged, it corrodes. But if you direct it, if you harness it, it becomes power. Some of the world's greatest innovators, leaders, and creators weren't driven by comfort or convenience. They were driven by pain. The pain of being underestimated. The pain of being abandoned. The pain of never wanting to return to the darkness they came from. Pain gave them the push when motivation was gone. Pain whispered, "You will not quit because you cannot afford to." And that voice became louder than every doubt, every fear, every limitation. The reason so many people stay average is because they run from pain. They seek distraction instead of discipline. They choose comfort over confrontation. But comfort is a slow poison. It convinces you that safety is success, when in reality, it is the death of potential. An unstoppable mindset refuses to run from pain. It walks into the fire and says, "Burn me, but I will rise stronger." Because what you fear most, the heartbreak, the failure, the loss, is often the very thing that will unlock your strength. You cannot build resilience in the sunshine. You cannot develop courage in the absence of challenge. Pain is the training ground of greatness. And every time you endure it, every time you lean into it, you add another layer of armor to your soul. Here is the truth no one wants to hear. The very things you curse today will one day be the foundation of your power. The betrayal you thought would break you, it taught you independence. The failure that humiliated you, it gave you humility and grit. The heartbreak that shattered your chest. It showed you the depth of your strength. Every wound carries wisdom. Every scar carries a story of survival. But the unstoppable mindset doesn't just survive, it thrives. It doesn't let pain sit in the dark corners of the heart. It drags it into the light and says, "Thank you for shaping me. Thank you for showing me who I am." Because when you reach a point where pain no longer scares you, when you look suffering in the eye and dare it to do its worst, you have unlocked a level of power most people never touch. And this is why pain is not your enemy. It is your weapon. It is the fuel that no one can take from you. Money can be stolen. Opportunities can be denied. People can walk away. But your pain, that belongs to you. That is your unbreakable source of fire. And when you use it, you become dangerous. Because now, nothing intimidates you. No criticism, no rejection, no failure can destroy you. You've already faced the darkness. You've already tasted the bottom. And you've risen. That is what makes you unstoppable. Not the absence of pain, but the mastery of it. Not the escape from suffering, but the transformation of it into a force so powerful that nothing, not fear, not doubt, not failure, can stand in your way. The world is relentless in the way it tries to cage you. From the moment you're born, it starts attaching labels, setting boundaries, and defining how far you can go. Society says you're too young to be taken seriously, too old to chase something new, too inexperienced to lead, too different to be accepted. Those voices are constant, and if you're not careful, you begin to believe them. You begin to shrink, to fit into the box someone else designed for you. But the unstoppable mindset rejects every single one of those limits. It refuses to let the world define what is possible. Limits are illusions, fragile walls built by people who settled. And when you refuse to accept them, when you decide that no rule book can dictate the size of your destiny, you become a force that can't be contained. The truth is, people will always try to make you smaller because your growth threatens their comfort. When you begin to stretch beyond what's expected, it exposes those who settled for less. So they'll say you can't. They'll laugh when you dream bigger. They'll doubt when you reach higher. But here's the secret. They're not describing your capacity. They're projecting their fear. Every "you can't" you've ever heard was never about you. It was about them. And if you carry that understanding, you will never again allow someone's insecurity to dictate your choices. You will stand taller, speak louder, and act bolder, because you know that their limits are not your limits. Think about every breakthrough that's ever changed the world. Every invention, every revolution, every act of greatness began with someone refusing to accept the limits handed to them. If they believed the voices of doubt, we'd still be living in the shadows of what was once impossible. The unstoppable mindset thrives on that refusal. It looks at walls and says, if I can't go over, I'll go through. If I can't go through, I'll go around. And if none of that works, I'll build something so powerful that the wall no longer matters. That's the spirit of defiance. That's the courage that rewrites the rules. You don't wait for someone to hand you an open door. You carve your own. You don't wait for permission to shine. You declare yourself ready. The world bends to those who refuse to accept the script and instead write their own. When you live within limits, you live in the shadow of regret. You settle for a fraction of your capacity, always wondering what could have been if you'd only dared to push further. But the moment you stop negotiating with limitation, everything shifts. You begin to test boundaries, to question traditions, to challenge authority when it tries to suffocate potential. You develop a hunger for more, not because you're ungrateful, but because you know there is more inside you than the world expects. This hunger is not arrogance, it is awareness. Awareness that your life cannot be defined by the fear of others. And once you step into that awareness, mediocrity no longer feels safe. It feels suffocating. There will always be voices trying to pull you back. Friends who say you've changed. Family who worries you're reaching too high. Colleagues who laugh when you set audacious goals. But remember this, every person who ever achieved greatness was first ridiculed before they were respected. Every visionary was doubted before they were celebrated. You cannot crave acceptance and chase greatness at the same time. One demands you shrink, the other demands you expand. The unstoppable mindset chooses expansion every time. It chooses discomfort, risk, and uncertainty because those are the birthplaces of freedom. You were not born to blend in. You were born to stand out. And the only way to claim that truth is by refusing every single limit that dares to stand in your way. So the next time someone tells you that you're dreaming too big, smile. The next time they say it's impossible, take it as a challenge. The next time they try to box you in, remember, you are not made to fit boxes. You are made to break them. You are not here to play small. You are here to disrupt, to redefine, to rewrite what's possible. And the only thing that separates those who do from those who don't is the refusal to accept limits. Once you embrace that, once you stand firm in the belief that no ceiling can contain you, the game changes forever. Because a mind that refuses limits becomes a life that knows no boundaries. Motivation is a spark. It burns bright for a moment, but it fades just as quickly. It's unreliable, unpredictable, and tied to how you feel. One day you wake up ready to conquer the world, and the next, you can't even drag yourself out of bed. If you build your life on motivation, you'll always be at the mercy of your moods. That's why so many people start strong but never finish. They wait to feel inspired before they act. They wait for the perfect song, the right weather, the surge of excitement to push them forward. But greatness doesn't wait for a feeling. The unstoppable mindset understands that discipline, not motivation, is the foundation of success. Discipline is steady. Discipline is brutal. Discipline is what makes you show up day after day, long after motivation has disappeared. Discipline is the difference between intention and execution. Anyone can dream, but not everyone can endure the grind. Motivation will tell you to work when it's convenient. Discipline forces you to work when it's not. Motivation whispers when conditions are perfect. Discipline commands even when everything is against you. Think about it. Every extraordinary athlete, artist, or leader you admire did not get where they are because they were motivated every single day. They got there because they built habits so strong that quitting wasn't an option. They trained when no one was watching. They practiced when they didn't feel like it. They sacrificed comfort, sleep, and ease because they understood something simple. Feelings are temporary, but results are permanent. Most people sabotage themselves because they confuse motivation with progress. They wait for the right time. They wait until they feel ready. But waiting is just disguised procrastination. The unstoppable mindset eliminates waiting altogether. It doesn't ask, do I feel like it? It asks, did I commit to it? Discipline is about removing negotiations. It's about building a system where your actions are not dependent on your emotions. When you wake up tired, you still go. When you're overwhelmed, you still push. When you're uninspired, you still build. Because the truth is, discipline doesn't care how you feel. And the day you stop caring about how you feel and start caring about what you said you would do, that is the day your life begins to transform. Discipline is freedom disguised as structure. At first, it feels like a cage. Waking up early, sticking to routines, saying no to distractions. It feels restrictive. But over time, you realize that discipline is the ultimate liberation. It frees you from the chaos of inconsistency. It frees you from the regret of wasted time. It frees you from the roller coaster of starting and stopping. Discipline builds momentum, and momentum builds power. Every small action you repeat carves out a new identity. You're no longer the person who tries. You become the person who delivers. You're no longer someone who relies on bursts of energy. You're the one who sustains the fire long after others have burned out. That identity, that quiet confidence, is born from discipline. The reason discipline is rare is because it demands sacrifice. You must trade immediate comfort for long-term growth. You must trade nights of mindless scrolling for mornings of preparation. You must trade excuses for execution. And sacrifice isn't glamorous. It's lonely. It's repetitive. It's uncelebrated. But that is why it's powerful. While everyone else is distracted, you are building. While everyone else is chasing the next wave of motivation, you are laying brick after brick of consistency. Eventually, that foundation becomes unshakable. And when the moment of opportunity comes, and it always comes, you will be ready. Not because you were motivated, but because you were disciplined. This is why discipline is the ultimate equalizer. You don't need to be the smartest, the fastest, or the most talented. You don't need perfect conditions or endless resources. All you need is relentless consistency. Talent without discipline fades. Intelligence without discipline is wasted. But discipline, even without talent, creates mastery. Discipline, even without resources, creates opportunity. That is the power of showing up every single day, regardless of how you feel. Because when discipline becomes your lifestyle, success is no longer a question of if, it's only a matter of when. Fear is the shadow that follows every dream worth chasing. It creeps in the moment you think about stepping into the unknown, the instant you consider doing something that stretches beyond your comfort zone. Most people let that shadow paralyze them. They wait for the day fear disappears, believing that courage is about feeling no fear at all. But that day never comes. Fear is not something you conquer once and forget. It's a constant companion, showing up every time you're on the verge of growth. The unstoppable mindset understands this truth. You don't wait for fear to vanish. You move forward with it still in your chest. You act while your hands shake. You speak while your voice trembles. You step forward while your heart pounds. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to keep moving despite it. Fear disguises itself as protection. It tells you, don't risk it. You might fail. Don't try it. You might get hurt. Don't step out. You might be rejected. It pretends it's keeping you safe. But what it's really doing is keeping you small. It builds walls that feel secure, but in reality are prisons. The people who never escape that prison live half lives. They never know their true strength because they never gave themselves the chance to test it. But those who embrace fear, who feel it and still act, discover a power they never imagined. Every step you take through fear weakens its hold on you. Each time you walk into the storm, you realize the storm isn't as deadly as it seemed. That realization is what separates the unstoppable from the average. the willingness to feel fear and still say yes. The moments that define your life are always on the other side of fear. The job you didn't apply for because you thought you weren't qualified. The words you didn't say because you were afraid of judgment. The idea you never acted on because you feared failure. Fear robs more dreams than failure ever will. Failure at least teaches. Fear only steals. The unstoppable mindset refuses to let fear dictate choices. It treats fear as a signal, not a stop sign. Fear means you're stretching, growing, stepping into new territory. Fear means you're alive, standing at the edge of possibility. Instead of retreating, you lean in. You say, if this scares me, it must matter. If it shakes me, it must be worth it. That shift turns fear from a barrier into a compass pointing you toward the life you were meant to live. The key is not to eliminate fear, but to develop a new relationship with it. You must learn to carry it with you, to see it as a companion instead of an enemy. Fear will always whisper, but you decide whether it whispers from the driver's seat or from the back. When fear drives, your life shrinks. When you drive, fear just rides along, powerless to steer your direction. Imagine how different your life would be if every time fear spoke, you did the opposite. If, instead of retreating, you advanced. If instead of shrinking, you expanded. Every act of courage rewires your mind. It proves that fear is not fatal, that discomfort does not destroy you. Slowly, you begin to crave that discomfort because you know it's the price of transformation. Fear never truly leaves, but what changes is your threshold. The things that once terrified you become effortless. The conversations that once paralyzed you become natural. The risks that once felt impossible become routine. And then new fears appear, greater challenges, higher stakes. This is the rhythm of growth. Fear evolves as you evolve. But with each level, your courage compounds. You no longer wait for bravery, you embody it. You no longer need to convince yourself to act. You've built the habit of acting. And when fear sees that it can't control you anymore, it loses its grip. That is the essence of power. Not living without fear, but mastering it so completely that it no longer dictates your choices. So when the voice of fear rises, and it will, recognize it but don't obey it. Let it scream, but don't let it steer. Remember that every extraordinary life was built by people who felt fear just like you, but chose action anyway. They spoke the words, launched the ideas, took the leaps, even with fear clawing at their throats. And because they acted, their fear dissolved into strength. The unstoppable mindset doesn't fight for a life without fear. It fights for a life beyond fear. It doesn't ask, what if I fail? It asks, what if I never try? That single shift is the dividing line between the life you settle for and the life you're truly capable of living. Life has a way of testing you in the most brutal ways. It knocks you down when you least expect it. It blindsides you with loss, betrayal, failure, and heartbreak. And in those moments, it's easy to believe that the world is against you, that the weight pressing on your chest is too heavy to carry. But here's the truth. No one is immune to hardship. Every single person will face storms. What separates the unstoppable from the broken is not whether or not they fall, but how they rise. Resilience is not something you're born with. It's something you build, a muscle forged in the fire of struggle. The more life tests you, the stronger you become if you choose to stand back up every single time. The first time life knocks you down, it feels like the end. You question your worth, your path, your purpose. You think, why me? But resilience doesn't begin in comfort. It begins in those moments of despair. It begins when you decide that pain will not be your final chapter. Every comeback starts with that one decision: I will not stay down. And with each comeback, you grow tougher. You begin to realize that no matter how hard you're hit, you have the power to recover. You may be scarred, but scars are proof of survival. They are evidence that you faced what was meant to destroy you. And you're still here. That knowledge becomes fuel. The next time you fall, you rise faster, stronger, with less hesitation. That's how resilience is built, through repetition, through endurance, through refusing to surrender. Failure is one of life's greatest weapons against the weak, but one of its greatest gifts to the strong. Most people see failure as an ending. They take it personally, letting it define them. But those with an unstoppable mindset see failure differently. They see it as feedback, as data, as information. They dissect it, learn from it, and adjust. Instead of saying, I failed, so I must not be good enough. They say, I failed, so now I know what not to do next time. That shift changes everything. It means no setback is permanent, no obstacle is final. Failure becomes a stepping stone instead of a wall. And the more you learn to use failure as a tool, the more resilient you become, because you stop fearing it. You no longer waste energy avoiding mistakes. You embrace them as part of your evolution. Resilience also demands patience. In a world addicted to instant gratification, most people crumble when they don't see immediate results. They quit because progress feels too slow, because success doesn't come overnight. But building anything great, whether it's a career, a relationship, or a legacy, takes time. You have to endure seasons where nothing seems to be working, where effort feels invisible, where results are delayed. This is where most give up. But the unstoppable mindset leans into the long game. It trusts the process, knowing that consistency compounds. Every day you keep going, every day you show up, you're adding weight to the muscle of resilience. Eventually, that muscle becomes so strong that setbacks don't discourage you. They barely slow you down. You become relentless because you've trained yourself to outlast the struggle. Resilience is also about adaptability. Life will rarely go as planned. Doors will close. Paths will shift. People will leave. And if your strength depends only on everything going right, you will collapse the moment things go wrong. Resilient people don't cling to one rigid plan. They pivot, they adjust, they find another way. They don't sit in self-pity asking why things didn't work out. They ask, what's the lesson? What's the opportunity hidden inside this? Every storm carries seeds of growth, but only the resilient know how to find them. They don't waste energy fighting reality. They adapt to it, master it, and use it to their advantage. That's why resilience is not passive endurance. It's active transformation. It's not just about surviving, it's about evolving into someone stronger because of the hardship. The most powerful thing about resilience is that once you've built it, you become unshakable. Life will still throw punches, but they won't break you anymore. What used to crush you now barely leaves a mark. Where others see endings, you see beginnings. Where others see walls, you see stepping stones. Resilience doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. It gives you the confidence that no matter what happens, you can handle it. That certainty is priceless. It frees you from fear, because you know even if you fall, you'll rise again. And once you know you can rise endlessly, nothing can stop you. That is the essence of resilience, the relentless commitment to rise, again and again, no matter how many times you're pushed down. Growth is not a phase, it is a way of life. The moment you stop growing, you begin to decay. Too many people hit one milestone and then get comfortable. They achieve something, and instead of reaching higher, they settle. Comfort is seductive. It whispers that you've done enough, that you've proven yourself, that you can slow down. But the unstoppable mindset rejects that lie. It understands that yesterday's victories don't guarantee tomorrow's success. Growth is not optional, it is survival. To remain relevant, powerful, and unshakable, you must stay obsessed with evolving mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You must chase growth the way others chase approval, relentlessly, with hunger that never dies. Obsession with growth means waking up every day knowing that the person you were yesterday is not good enough for who you want to become tomorrow. It means pushing yourself to read, to learn, to train, to study even when no one is clapping, even when no one notices. It means refusing to let a single day pass without stretching your capacity. Growth doesn't always come in giant leaps. Sometimes it's the small daily actions. The extra hour of practice, the chapter you read, the conversation you had that challenged your thinking. Most people overlook those tiny steps because they crave instant results. But the unstoppable know those small steps compound into massive transformation. It is not about speed, it is about direction. Every day you choose growth, you are writing a future that no comfort zone could ever provide. True growth is uncomfortable. It demands that you abandon what is familiar, what feels safe, what strokes your ego. It forces you to confront your flaws, your weaknesses, your blind spots. That's why most people run from it. They'd rather protect their pride than expand their potential. But if you are truly obsessed with growth, you stop hiding from discomfort. You chase it. You deliberately place yourself in rooms where you are the least experienced. You seek out challenges that expose your limits. You surround yourself with people who demand more of you, who make you feel small because they force you to level up. That discomfort becomes your classroom. And the more time you spend in it, the faster you evolve into someone unrecognizable to the old version of you. Growth obsession also means destroying the illusion of arrival. You will never reach a point where you have learned it all, achieved it all, mastered it all. The moment you think you've made it, you've already started falling behind. Look at the greatest minds, the greatest leaders, the greatest artists. They never stop learning. They remain students of life until their last breath. That humility, that hunger, is what keeps them ahead. The unstoppable mindset does not chase titles or recognition. It chases mastery. It is not about proving you are the best. It is about becoming better than you were yesterday. That quiet, relentless pursuit keeps you sharp, relevant, and untouchable in a world that constantly changes. To be obsessed with growth is to be ruthless with your time and energy. You stop wasting hours on things that do not serve your evolution. You stop indulging in excuses, gossip, distractions, because you know they steal from your future. Every choice becomes a test. Does this help me grow, or does it keep me stagnant? And with each choice, you carve a life of intention. Growth demands sacrifice, less comfort, fewer distractions, more focus. But those sacrifices are not losses, they are investments. Every hour you dedicate to improvement compounds. Every ounce of effort adds up until one day, you look in the mirror and realize you are unrecognizable. In strength, in wisdom, in power. That transformation is the reward of obsession. And the beauty of growth is that it never ends. There will always be another level, another challenge, another horizon. That's not something to fear. It's something to celebrate. Because as long as you are growing, you are alive. As long as you are growing, you are becoming. The unstoppable mindset understands that life is not about reaching a finish line. It's about becoming the kind of person who never stops running toward greatness. Growth is not just about achievement. It's about evolution. It's about leaving behind the shallow version of yourself and stepping into the highest, boldest, most powerful version possible. And when growth becomes your obsession, mediocrity can never seduce you again. You become addicted to becoming. You live in constant transformation. And in that transformation lies the essence of being unstoppable. You've heard it all. The pain that can be turned into power, the lies of limitation you must refuse, the discipline that outlasts fleeting motivation, the courage to walk with fear, the resilience that rises from every fall, and the obsession with growth that never lets you settle. These are not ideas to admire, they are principles to live by. The world will keep testing you. It will keep throwing doubt, failure, rejection, and resistance in your path. But with an unstoppable mindset, none of it can break you. Because every scar becomes your strength. Every limit becomes your challenge. Every fear becomes your compass. Every setback becomes your training. And every day becomes a chance to grow into someone greater than yesterday. So now the choice is yours. You can walk away from this moment and slip back into the same patterns that have kept you small. Or you can draw a line in the sand and decide that from this day forward, you will not be ordinary. You will not play small. You will not let fear, doubt, or excuses dictate your story. You will rise with power. You will stand with discipline. You will push with resilience. And you will live with an obsession for growth. That is the unstoppable mindset. And once you claim it, once you embody it, once you refuse to let it go, nothing, not people, not circumstances, not even your own fear, can stop you